Thank you, Alistair. I think Alistair made some very interesting points about the motivations of the government behind the Academies project. Because we often hear words like choice, parental choice, raising standards, raising accountability, helping poorer children, things that none of us would disagree with. And so on paper it looks very positive mood, and that's how the government's trying to sell it. But when we examine the realities of the academy movement, and particularly our experiences of academies within the South East, with Kent and Medway and Brighton, we get a very different picture. So I'd just quickly like to go over that, and then I'll talk a little bit about how academies have experienced, have affected their members and their experiences within the South East. So first of all, we're told about choice and academies increasing parental choice. It's not what we've seen. Of the so-called consultations of the now 100 schools in Kent and East Sussex that have become academies, of those 100 schools, only 3 of those schools have held a parental ballot to give parents the option over academies. Okay? And when one of those schools in Hastings voted against becoming an academy, the local authority went ahead regardless and ignored the ballot. So I think it's nonsense that it's choice, and our experience shows that. And indeed, the consultations have been nothing but a sham. I know not of one school in Kent, Medway, in Sussex, where the consultation has changed the original view and the academy has not gone ahead. We know of some nationally where campaigns have been successful, but unless there's been a big campaign, the consultation has ignored parents, has ignored teachers, has ignored the local community. So choice, it's a sham. The raising of standards. I think it's very early to say with the new breed of academies like, to be fair. I have not seen to date any particular change in standards. It's very interesting that the vast majority of the 74 academies in Kent have been grammar schools, which select anyway, or super select through 11 plus of their own entrance exams. But I've not seen an improvement in standards, and indeed, in the old academies, there's been no evidence of an improvement in standards despite the increased money. So I don't believe this is about increasing standards. Accountability. We're told that it makes schools more accountable. Well, how more accountable do you get than a governing body, largely elected by parents and staff, under the control of a local authority, elected by the people in the community? Is that not the perfect idea of the so-called Tory mantra of localism? Indeed, what an academy is pulling the school away from that accountability and making it accountable to one man, the Secretary of State for Education. Not us, not teachers, not parents, not pupils, but the Secretary of State. Okay, so it's not about accountability. And then finally, the most insulting reason for academies to begin is that it helps the poorest children. But we very well know from the experience in Sweden and from the experience in academies so far that that is not the case. And we know that in Sweden, for example, competition in education has damaged results. And in fact, I've got a quote here from Per Thurberg, the director of the Swedish National Agency for Education, the Department for Education, where he says a competition between schools that was one of the reasons for introducing these new types of schools, which has not led to better results. When we look at the results in Sweden, between 1995 and 2007, compared with the results in England, well, we've seen real progress in a state accountable system compared to a massive drop in results in an academised education system in Sweden. And we see in the UK academies today how the number of children on free school meals has been reduced drastically. I have some figures here, I'll try and quote them shortly. So don't believe the lies about accountability. It's actually about ideology. It's about the Tory ideology that competition brings about better results. Competition between schools, between professional teachers, and although they won't say it, between pupils as well. And that is the crux of it. This is the first step to going back to a system of schools as an island, not under the control of local people. And we're starting to see already in Kent, schools now beginning to introduce selection. The Valley Park School in Maidstone, they're now selecting 10% of their intake. Okay, so don't believe the lies. So what has been the reality of our members in the South East? Well, I told you about the accountability and consultation. And I'll give you some examples of what schools believe to be consultation. So a text message to parents was considered in one case in Medway to be acceptable consultation. An email or one letter in most cases was consultation. Not all, to be fair, some schools. have gone to some levels, although they've not listened to parents when they've gone to some levels. The big set tried to create a farce, always presented as a fait accompli. And many schools following B.dv advice have even tried to wiggle out of consulting with trade unions. So I've talked to you about a mission. Curriculum and standards also. Our impact on members, and obviously as a union this is where we are very well. Academies don't have to follow national terms and conditions. And we're already starting to see now some of the more reactionary elements of sponsorship and governors in Kent. There are at least 5 or 6 schools that we're having to battle to even have the right, the basic human right to have a trade union and be collectively recognised, particularly in that union. We're now seeing terms and conditions beginning to be eroded, a reduction in redundancy, failure to consult over restructures in staffing, attempts to try and get staff to work on Saturdays, attempts to try and get staff to stay in school between 8 and 5 every day. So far, we have been quite successful as a union in resisting attacks on our members' terms and conditions. We will fight to retain those terms and conditions and a high standard of teaching and to ensure teachers are in the classroom and not TAs teaching children instead, which is another worrying development in certain academies. But it is a problem. They are allowed to change those terms and conditions. And indeed, ironically, Lord Hill, the schools minister, has written to schools intending to become academies, saying that schools should not enter into agreements with unions over terms and conditions, even though that was the whole point of them being now allowed to become academies. It essentially seems become an academy, set your own terms and conditions, as long as those terms and conditions are the ones that we don't want you, we want you to set. But the biggest impact of all has been the impact on local communities, and I think this is really important. The Tories want us, and the Liberal Democrats want us, to see every school as an island, and not education as a community provision, which we have in Brighton. And it's not perfect, but it's successfully worked overall for many, many years. And it has worked better compared to, say, the situation in Sweden. And we're now seeing in Kent the impact of that, the impact on the very, very vulnerable, the most vulnerable children. We've seen last year 450 central services teachers in Kent lose their jobs. So these are the people who work with disabled children, SEN kids, early years advisors, anti-bullying consultants and advisors, educational psychologists, music services. And I'm really worried that this starts happening in Brighton. Things like our museum teaching service and our music service, which are nationally recognised as outstanding provision, will start to be affected as schools cream off that money. So, finally, and I think it's just important to quickly mention, one of the big reasons given for turning bonding into an academy is finance. And some of you would have heard in the news recently about finance. And I'm sure some of our other speakers will talk about that. But again, don't believe this, because already it's been shown that the government have been overfunding academy schools. And indeed the local government association, through a judicial review, are now forcing the DfE to reschedule payments to academies as well. The DfE itself has said there's no extra money for academies. There will not be extra money for academies in the long run, okay? But they'll still be there and have to provide all the services that the local authority provides. So there is no extra money, but there's a lot to lose. Thank you.